Hey, hello, welcome. You're listening to A Band of Gamers. This is episode 201. We are a gaming and music discovery podcast. It's our two favorite hobbies, Side A video games and Side B music. In this episode, we've got a commitment to our backlogs. Time to make some tough decisions. Star Wars, Jedi, Fallen Order. Between the two sides, we'll tell you what's in our pint glasses. And then Side B music, we've got a recommended album from Shane. It's for fans of, in my opinion, pop punk, who appreciate more than the average fare.
Spot on, and if you enjoy the Dirty Nail or guys like Jeff Rogas and stock, this is for you as well.
Oh yeah, pop punk action.
We'll share our thoughts and yours first. I'm Joel, your MC, one of your three co-hosts, recording near Milwaukee, Wisconsin, in the USA. Joining me on this podcast journey from across the globe, it's my two best mates. First of all, from the village of Vancouver, Canada, your town crier. It's Shane. Hey, Shane.
Hear ye. Hear ye. Yeah, it's good. Well, it's back to Rain City, Wetcouver, the Wet Coast. We're into our annual 8 months of rain straight through. So a bit of doom and gloom out there, but some video games and some delicious grilled cheese sandwiches make it all the better.
Yeah, where it's also gray and rainy and doom and gloom a lot of the time, if I understand correctly. In Birmingham, England, the second city Jedi, it's Carl. What's happening, Carl?
Well, you'd be right in assuming it's grey, it's wet, and it's cold. Yep, surprise, surprise. Every day. Don't you just love going to work when it's dark in the morning, coming home when it's dark at night? Living life, mate, living life. But luckily, my Padawan wheels are off. I'm no longer just the learner. I think I'm the master. Jedi master.
Are you conflicted right now? There's a new Pokemon game, too, out. I mean, how did you make this decision?
It was really easy. I really, really, really do love Star Wars. So I was like, I really need to play this game. We'll come on to it in a bit, but there's quite a few little sprinkling of ingredients that made this just stand out for me.
You want to get into it first?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So the reason why I've picked this up, I think, over, something like Pokemon, which does look good as well, but there's just not enough time in the day, backlogs and all that. This game is one of those that you kind of look at and think, it's Star Wars. You worry about EA. Respawn Entertainment, the guys making this one. And it was one of those, is it going to be bad? Is it going to be passable? Is it going to be, is it going to be an absolute home run grand slam? I really enjoyed the Force Unleashed games on the PS3, Xbox 360. I thought they were cracking games. Really kind of gave a bit of a background, non-canon story about Vader having a sneaky apprentice, and you got these awesome Force powers. And I thought I've got to get into that and give that another go. And I saw some of the bits of news coming out around this one where the play style is a little bit different, basically taking setting between. And Shane will obviously know this, between episode 3 and 4, where the Clone Wars have kind of been and gone. The Emperor has ordered Order 66, where all the Jedi were assassinated by their clone trooper allies. And you kind of, you take on the role of a young Padawan who's kind of in hiding and dodging the Empire, trying to make sure he can just stay under the radar, and kind of gets thrown into it a little bit. So the story was kind of interesting to me. I thought, I'm going to jump in and have a go. Something a little bit different, and kind of, there aren't any of the main characters that you might think normally in there. Certainly not at the beginning of the game. I'm not going to do any spoilers. And it was, just there was something else in the Star Wars universe that I was kind of, getting my teeth into. The play style in the game is a lot different to the Star Wars games you'd played before. It kind of takes little bits of Uncharted and Tomb Raider, especially the way that you traverse the levels. So the climbing, up the walls, the jumping from platform to platform, and kind of hanging and maneuvering yourself around cliff faces. Just in general, feels very much like a Tomb Raider or an Uncharted game. But with a little bit of wall running in there as well. And then kind of, if you've played Titanfall, when you're kind of running along and you've got your dude running at the side of the wall and stuff, there's a bit of that in there, obviously using the Force and kind of making themselves stick to surfaces and things like that. It just makes it flow really, really well. I think some of the clunky bits you might have got in Uncharted, and sometimes you feel it's a bit, oh God, I've got to climb another wall, just gives you that bit. It feels a bit more fluid, I think, more than anything else. Like in Tomb Raider, you actually do have Jedi temples or tombs to kind of solve puzzles and move things around. So you're kind of moving things around with the Force as well, and pushing and pulling objects, things like that. Just basic puzzle stuff, but it really did just remind me of those games, and I love Uncharted. So if you're going to just drop that mechanic into a Star Wars game, you know it's going to be hard to displease me. The other main influence in the game is Dark Souls, which is very strange, but it really does work. You don't actually use a blaster or anything other than a lightsaber in this game. So if you think about Dark Souls, you've always got a melee weapon, really, and you can use a range, but on the whole, you're kind of like dodging, parrying, blocking, rolling out of the way. And the combat in Jedi Fallen Order is very, very similar. You know, it's not as brutal, and you know you can take a few hits from baddies and bosses, but it does lean a lot on those mechanics. And if you have it on the really, really difficult level, then it can be really tough. But it seems to work really well. Like making the combat all lightsaber based and giving it that kind of Dark Souls mechanic. You know when you can take on a couple quite comfortably. You know when you feel a bit out of your depth, and you kind of have the ability to get out of the way of all the attacks and just make it feel, again, fluidity more than anything else. Just feels very, very natural and quite fun to play. Didn't really get blown away by the talent tree the first time I've kind of loaded it up. You know, I'm an RPG guy. I'm like, oh, you know, what are these Force abilities I can use? And you can't actually see when you first boot the game up. You are a Padawan, you are a learner, and you've got a basic couple of abilities, but you can't, you know, use a force push or a force pull and things like that. You can't double jump and things like at the beginning of the game. And it's kind of accessible again for, like, you know, if you haven't really played RPGs and you haven't really played a game like a Dark Souls or whatever, the initial skill tree you get to pick from is quite limited. It's quite small. And I think that helps hold your hand every time you kind of get a little bit in the story and kind of progress a little way. It unlocks little bits more. So you're like, oh, okay, I can go down that path now. It's just really, really well paced and well balanced, and you can't put it down. Like, it is so much fun to play, such a joy to play, and it's kind of nice having this story kind of off the radar of the Emperor and Vader. They've got their, like, assistants, these kind of Inquisitors or Sith troopers that kind of come after you, and they're hunting Jedi all across the galaxy. And as the story progresses, you become more powerful, you become a bigger threat, and the kind of level of people who take an interest just goes up bit by bit, and it's just a very realistic story.
What difficulty level did you dial in, being kind of a Dark Souls guy yourself?
And difficulty doesn't affect trophies, so I went straight onto story mode. It is really easy on story mode, in all fairness. Like, if you can play a bit of Dark Souls, you won't have any problems in this game. And I wasn't dying at all. So I thought, no, this is a bit too easy. So I just knocked it up one. And it's kind of got a really neat little slider where you can have the difficulty level, but underneath the difficulty level, it'll tell you the timing that you've got to parry enemy attacks. So on the easiest difficulty level, the bar's full. And for everyone down there, like, the parry time decreases, you know, the damage you take increases, and little things like that. It's actually quite a good customizable difficulty level for you to kind of get into and have a little look. The combat is really, really good. Like, it does feel it's tight and responsive, but it is quite fluid, and you can just take on groups of enemies once you get the abilities up a little bit. You know, you can just flinging people off a ledge never gets old to me in Star Wars. Just like throwing your lightsaber, man, and just like a boomerang. That stuff never gets old. But there's a couple of little bits of changes in the way that the combat works. I think does freshen up a bit and gives it a little bit more more interest. So, you know, thoroughly enjoyed just getting stuck into it. Came out Friday, and I'm well into the game now. I think I'm probably a couple of hours from the end.
Holy crap.
We'll have finished it by the time the show comes out.
Damn. I was just going to ask how far that's. So you must have spent the whole weekend hammering away at this one.
Much. I mean, I've eaten and had a beer, things like that, but the campaign is about 20 hours. The way that they kind of break the levels up as well is until you, like in Tomb Raider, like, so say you start off with Lara and she hasn't got a piece of equipment like the zip line thing or whatever to get to a certain area. It's the same in this game. As you go through, you'll unlock another ability, or you'll grab a piece of equipment or an upgrade. You've got a little droid, BD1, who's on your back the whole the way through, and he's really super cute. There's so much personality in that droid, the more than in the main character. Like the main character is just a generic ginger-haired white dude, but the droid is where it's at. BD1 is really, really cute, and he's got so many cool abilities. You'll learn to slice into open doors or open crates and things like that. And when you get that, you're like, I need to go back to that the other world. I've got to go back and check out Kashyyyk or go to Dathomir again and have a little wander around and get these hidden secrets and stuff. So a lot of replayability, with the unlocks that you get and going back and taking another look at that. It seems really well structured. You can tell that they put the time into the game with all facets of it. In terms of, if you're a Star Wars lover, the story's really good. Combat's great. Everything is just really, really fun in this game. The only issue that you have is performance. And again, for a game that's been in development, it's a bit of a shame. This thing's been in development for years and years and years, and it really does suffer in places. So you might get in a lift and you'll be going up in the elevator shaft, and then you'll get to the surface and the game will freeze completely. And you think, oh no, it's going to crash. And it loads in so slowly, like, color change or a frame or two in like 5 seconds. And then it jumps back into the cutscene or whatever. And it's like, okay, I'm back now. But even if you're surrounded by a few enemies and you're scrolling real quick on the camera, the frame rate, it struggles. I'm playing it on the Pro, but I've heard the same on PC and the One X, unfortunately. There is the option to play in performance mode, which I would recommend you do. But again, it's still not, it's not unplayable or anything like that. But there are moments when you're like, oh man, come on. It needs a little bit more time, I think.
So even in performance mode, it's dropping frames like that and slowing down?
Yeah. I mean, I've been playing in performance mode and it'll stutter and a few times, probably 5 or 6 times over the course of the weekend when I've been playing, I thought, oh no, it's going to crash here. When did I lose my last, when did I last save? That's something else that they borrowed from Dark Souls and this may be something that people will find a bit probably off-putting, I guess, if that's the word. Whenever you kill a baddie, you get experience and all the rest of it. You can earn these unlocks for different things. If you die, you go back to the last, in Dark Souls, the bonfires. In Fallen Order, they're meditation points. So every now and again, you'll see a circle on the floor. You click right, stick in, and you'll meditate. You can spend your points on your talent tree, and you can reset all the enemies and things like that. It's exactly the same as it works in Dark Souls. If you go visit a bonfire, in Dark Souls, but you don't restore your Estus flasks and you don't restore your health effectively, then you'll carry on and the enemies won't respawn. It's the same in Fallen Order. They've literally just lifted that up and dropped it in a Star Wars game, and it works fine. If you do die and you lose your experience and stuff, you go back and find an enemy that was around there, and if you kill him, you get that back. So again, it just makes you think a little bit more before wading into combat. But if you're playing the easiest difficulty, it doesn't really matter.
I picked it up on Xbox. I've only played it for about an hour, so it's tough to have an opinion real solid, but a couple quick impressions. The Uncharted comparisons, really good. It does have those like cinematic moments, at least right away in the beginning when you're kind of climbing up that train as it's falling apart. I love that about Uncharted, and it's cool they added that to this game. And I also are doing it on the, not story, but the one right up. It's a Jedi Master or something. I forget what difficulty it's called.
Yeah, I think, it's not a Jedi Knight, Jedi Master or something like that.
And the combat is pretty difficult for a guy that's never played a Souls game. It'll take some getting used to, I think.
It's one of those where you have to, and blocking is your friend, but also rolling out the way. You can't, it's the same in Souls. You just want to roll out of the way, get behind an opponent and just take him out like that. Because you get one or two, and you will find at the beginning of the game, you have got abilities, but you're not particularly powerful, and it shows. Whereas as you move through, you will find that you can take these guys out really quickly. But if you get surrounded, it still can be quite difficult. You'll still take a few hits, and all of a sudden you're in trouble. The little droid on your back, he carries these little flasks, little injections that you can get your health back and stuff like that. And in the same way as in Souls, you have to find the unlocks, the drops for those on the different planets to increase the amount that you can carry. And then there's also further upgrades then through the actual skill tree and stuff. But yeah, I'm really, really impressed with it. I must admit. Have you noticed any performance issues on yours yet, Joel? I know it's early days.
Yeah, not yet, but I'm just through that first level where you can kind of get into the actual game. It seems like the first part is just training, teaching you how to traverse, teaching you your combat controls. Do you feel more like a badass as the game goes on? Because for a Padawan with a lightsaber, I mean, I'm swiping at like boxes and it's just leaving a trail, like it won't even slash through the boxes. I want to feel like more of a badass. To take a stormtrooper down, a stormtrooper, they're like weak usually.
Yeah.
And it takes like 3 hits with a lightsaber to take one out. I want to feel like more of a badass. So I'm hoping as the game progresses, that starts to come into play a little bit. Yes or no?
It does. Yeah, it definitely does. If and one piece of advice I would say, it is tough, but the best thing to do is go to Dathomir. After the first level, you get a choice of 2 planets to go to.
Okay.
One which I'd never heard of, which is the way that the story goes, and the other one is Dathomir, which I went to first because for me, like there's a lot of lore around Dathomir and the witches, and it's like a Force-sensitive place. And I'm pretty sure Darth Maul was kind of raised there and stuff like that. That's the hint. That's the only hint I would give. But if you go there, there's a little unlock that you can get, which will improve your experience dramatically. So definitely go there for a nice little lightsaber upgrade, which will help in especially those first few levels. I'd definitely recommend doing that. But as you go through, like I've got unlocked a load of abilities now where if your force meter is big enough, you can take out so many enemies. Like I'll bowl into an area, if there's 3 or 4, I can force pull someone towards me and just take them out straight with one lightsaber straight through them. And you can do that a couple of times. Just let people fly through the air towards you, take them out. And you can group force push and things like that. So you definitely do feel stronger as you go through the game. And it's definitely worth investing your time in it for sure. And if you go back to the planets you've been to before, if you do find yourself at a sticking point, go back to another planet that you've been to before once you've unlocked a couple of the upgrades, and you'll find more collectibles and more items and XP. Just level up your tree as well.
Nice. Well, I'm on a planet called Bogano. That's where I'm at. That's
the first one.
That's before the decision you're talking about.
Yes, yeah. You do that planet, and then it gives you a split path to go to. Dathomir is quite tough, though. I will say that. But it's worth it. Definitely worth it. But I mean, I can't fault it other than those performance issues. Like, it doesn't make me not want to play the game. But I do think if it had crashed on me, if it had gone a hard reset back to the title, like I had it with Red Dead 2 a couple of times on the Xbox One X, ran flawlessly. There was never an issue whatsoever. And just 1 or 2 times, boom, dead. And I was like, oh, okay. And this worries me when I'm playing. I love the game and I'm playing through, and I'm like, and when I go up an elevator and it judders, and I'm like, oh God, am I going to lose all my progress? Like, is it going to put me back to the last time I meditate? And it hasn't yet, but I have heard stories of people having it hard, crash and hard reset on them. So fingers crossed it doesn't happen to me, but I'm thoroughly loving the game so far.
Cool. Shane, what do you think? Interested in a Star Wars game, having never watched Star Wars movies?
Well, I was going to ask you guys, would you still feel the same if you had never seen any of the films?
Hard to tell when we have. I don't know. What do you think, Carl?
I think so. I think if you like Uncharted and you like Tomb Raider, I think you'd like this game. The only difference is there's no ranged weaponry, so to speak of. I would say I don't think it's as tight as, say, Uncharted 4 and, say, what was that second? Was it Shadow of the Tomb Raider? Rise of the Tomb Raider, I think, was the second one. So it's kind of like somewhere in between, say, like an Uncharted 3 and 4 in terms of how tight the mechanics feel. I think those 2 games probably do it a little bit better, but it's still thoroughly enjoyable. If you know nothing about it, you'll still enjoy it. But for someone who loves the lore and who loves Star Wars, there's just little bits in it which I think are really well done. Like you pick up these Force echoes and things off the floor, and like it plays you a tiny little snippet of something that's gone on. And on one particular planet that you go to, which is the storyline choice, not Dathomir, the other one, Zaffo, I think it's called. And there's little things you pick up, these little kind of, they're like audio logs basically. And you kind of unlock parts of conversations, and you think, oh, there's this guy here, and he's trying to hide his wife and his little girl, and trying to make them safe and stuff. And you don't get the full picture of what's gone on. But then later in the story, and it's not prompted or anything, it's like literally a chance conversation that you could miss. You don't have to interact with these characters. And you're just like, oh, hello, yeah, And she's like, oh, I'm so and so. You're like, oh, you lived on so, this, and you could kind of introduce the husband's name. She's like, yeah, how's he doing? Is he okay? Ooh. And little things like that they're quite clever, and you blink and you can miss them. But it does show that they've put a lot of attention to detail, I think, in particular in the story. And I think the story's heading one way, and I think the set piece at the end of it could be fantastic. So I'll talk more and maybe spoilery another time. But so far fantastic.
Another thing, Carl, I wanted to ask, this Force character you're using, was this like a pre-order bonus or like a DLC, one of those microtransactions you enable to use this character?
Yeah, totally. It's a bit of a pre-order bonus. You get a character called the Force who just follows you around, and he's kind of like the Invisible Man, and you get green sword guy as well. Pre-order bonus.
Nice. I enjoyed using that. I think it's a gentleman. I don't know. I mean, nowadays it's kind of up in the air. But I think that was a big barrier when I was playing the first Battlefront, was being a little uneducated in the films and whatnot, which I still need to go as soon as they put them back out in their original theatric release. I would love to enjoy them, as I've said before.
I wish that would happen. It seems like that's never going to happen, sadly.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I do still have the video cassettes. Do you still have a VHS player, Shane?
I'm sure I could find one.
I could mail you the actual theatrical versions on VHS, if that's helpful.
I did find there was like a 2-disc DVDs that they did back in like mid 2000s, 2004, and the second disc would have the original theatrical release. I have found those, and I do own those. I haven't watched them yet, and I know they're not the best of quality either. Before you start emailing me, pooping on me for getting these, but I do have them, and maybe this winter we'll pop the Star Wars in and see what this is all about.
I bet you those are worth some money, hey?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I'm sure if they're, I don't know. They were apparently ripped, I think, from the Laserdisc, which wasn't that great to begin with. So I think because of the quality, they're not really worth a lot. I think the ones that you have, Joel, the VHS ones, are probably the best way to watch the originals from what I've read.
Yeah, it's a real shame actually that people who
it is
grow up kind of now have never seen that release.
Exactly, and right.
I think it was Katie that on Twitter the other day, and someone said, "Oh, if you could change something about the original trilogy, what would you change?" And she was like, "Oh, that awful Jabba the Hutt CGI Jabba the Hutt when hands in the loading bay were next to the Millennium Falcon." And in the original, I'm sure in the original version, it's a dude, like it's just a representative of Jabba or something that he's talking to next to the Falcon. And then they kind of put a Jabba in there, and then they put this awful CGI one in there. So it is kind of a shame that people didn't get to experience them in that kind of format.
I just hate that you can't go back and watch it as you watched it as a kid. It's all different and everything's tweaked, and it's like I'm trying to remember, how was that back then? It's they've changed so many bits with those movies. It's not, it's that one scene, and it's many, many other scenes, and it's even like in the ships. They've added little dials and little LED lights, and it's just messed with everything. It's a shame.
Yep, and for folks like myself who, well, there's probably not too many people that are interested in seeing the films yet have never seen them. You know, I want to see them how they were, you know, how they were originally seen, how people in the theater back in, 77, 78, saw them. And I've held out for that very reason. And then half of me still wants to hold out, but I mean, I do want to see, I mean, because obviously, I mean, it's a huge part of theater history in cinema. I mean, there's no denying it. I mean, it's one of the biggest franchises in history of planet Earth. So, but we'll see. We'll see. I do have them. They're ready to go here. However, I might just hold out a little bit longer. We'll see what happens. But yeah, Star Wars, boys.
Yeah, it's in your backlog. You'll get around to it sometime, mate.
There you
Probably
go.
after the games.
Nice segue. So we want to talk about our backlog, figure out how are we going to do this? We haven't really talked it through. I've got a list. Carl's got a list. Shane's got a list. What our goal here is to make, at least my goal, I don't know if you guys are in agreement, Shane, Carl, but make a commitment to playing through a few of the games I bought and never played or never beat or finished before the PS5 and the next Xbox releases. And Carl had a suggestion in our little chat, something to the extent like you can't buy a new game until you knock one of these old ones off, something like that. So we have to decide how we're going to handle it, how many games we're going to pick, and like the rules, I guess. I just want to go back and play these games, and I want to like publicly state and hold myself accountable. Really, that's my goal. And there's a few games I just want to get through before those next consoles come out.
Yeah. I mean, I guess we could just run through them. You know, there's obviously a lot of games that were great games and we haven't got round to for one reason or the other. There's games that we love as well that we just haven't got round to finishing. So it's one of them. I mean, what's on your list, Joel? Like, of the ones that you've got, like, what jumps out at you as being like, man, I need to finish that?
The one that jumps out the most is Red Dead Redemption 2. I played, I don't know if I'm a third of the way through it. I'm not quite sure how far I am, but I was enjoying it. I just never got around to finishing it. So if I had to push one, I guess, to the top of my priority list, that would be it. Very close is Ori and the Blind Forest, which I'm probably another halfway through or something. A little bit more of a different game, obviously a platformer. That one is kind of high up on my list. And then I've got a lot more on here. Red Dead Redemption 2 is a long game, right? So what's a reasonable amount of games that I should pick as being the ones I focus on and make sure I finish before I get to next gen? Like 4? That sound about right? More than that? Because
I was thinking like
Yeah.
2 or 3 really, because I mean a lot of these games can be pretty big and time consuming, especially at our age, boys.
But the thing is, it's not going to be the only thing that you play as well. Like, I know I said about, maybe don't buy one new game until you finish an old one, but we don't have to stick to that.
Okay, good.
But to my mind, I mean, there's a couple of games coming out next year that I really want to jump on, but we'll probably talk about that in a little while. And some of them are huge. Like, some of these games are really, really long. So I think, maybe around 4. I'm personally going to try for 6, so one every other month. The only problem
I think
with
4 is good, but I'm gonna go with 6.
well, but what I would caveat, like, if we're going to say like, between 2 and 4 games that you've never played that you're going to go through and finish is fine.
Yeah.
But then I think because some of these, like, on my list, I've got Dark Souls 3, and I think I'm like 2 bosses away from the final boss, but I've just never gone round to. So I've got a few games like that, and I don't really want to include, some of those. So for me personally, I'd probably say maybe 3 games that I've yet to pick up and play in the year 2020, maybe 3 of those, and then revisit a couple. But if you revisit an old game and complete it, then that still counts for like you've been able to buy a new game.
Yeah, I like that. I like what you're doing there with that. You got to knock one of these off the list before you can buy a new one. So if you're in the store and you want that new shiny, it's like, nope, I got to go back and beat this game before I can grab that. I kind of made a list too, before we get into our backlog, of the games coming out next year that are going to be those situations where I'm in the store or on the storefront, the digital storefront. Like, I need this right now. And that's for me, Animal Crossing. It's in March. I got a little time here. New Horizons on the Switch. Ori and the Will of the Wisp since February. The Last of Us Part 2. Got to play that one right away. That comes out in May. I don't want any story spoilers. I don't want to screw myself out of playing that by not knocking something off my list. Zelda Breath of the Wild 2, whatever that's probably more a 2021 though. I don't know if that's next year. And then Microsoft Flight Simulator. Those are all games that when they come out, I want to buy. I want to play. So I got to make sure that, that's 5 games right there. Does that mean I got to get through 5 on my backlog before I can pick those up? Is that how we're doing this? Got it. I like that. If I knock 5 off, I can grab all of those.
I think that's fair enough. I mean, you've only got to finish a campaign or a story. You haven't got to 100% it and platinum it. Just get through the story. I mean, you haven't got to.
Yeah, no, I won't. I won't be doing that.
Pixel Monsters 3 just got announced.
Well, then that's now way up the list.
Yeah. This goes out the window then.
So, and I first got to get through that new Star Wars because I did pick that up. So I want to beat that and then start attacking the list. So let me go through through my full list here.
Yeah.
I've got Resident Evil 2 Remake, which my buddy Adrian just raving about. Really want to play that. Should have played it at Halloween. Never got around to it. Red Dead Redemption 2 I mentioned. Ori and the Blind Forest I mentioned. Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Sitting there on the shelf. Never played it. Would love to play that. Sunset Overdrive, which is a few years old, Xbox exclusive. It just looks like it's a great game. Everyone talks about it as being kind of a underrated, very good gem on the console, at least as far as exclusives. A Way Out, which is that co-op game from the smaller EA dev. Hellblade, never played that. Or I played through like the first level, loved it, didn't do anything else with it. Titanfall 2, the campaign. Far Cry 5, the campaign, of course. Assassin's Creed Odyssey, which I'd love to play, but it's probably way too many hours to have any business on this list. Mortal Kombat 11 on the Switch. Luigi's Mansion 3, I picked that up. Would love to play it. My Friend Pedro, which is a tinier, smaller little indie title. Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening, which I'm maybe a third of the way through, fourth of the way through. God of War on the PS4, and then Death Stranding on the PS4. So I've got a very long list of good, potentially great games here that I never played, of which I'm going to try and pick 4.
Okay. I mean, Titanfall 2, that campaign's pretty short. I'd put that on your list, mate.
What do you think, Shane?
Yeah, I agree.
And I'd like to, if I'm picking a game, I'd love to hear your thoughts on Death Stranding. Like, because I've not picked that up, and I won't be picking that up. Like, I don't think it's for me. But there's so many people having a lot of fun with that game, and I'd like to see you get to the end of Red Dead.
You're a big fan of walking simulators, though.
Only if there's a platinum at the end of it. And I think the other ones on your list, God of War's brilliant, man. You got to play God of War, but don't suppose there's a massive rush for that. But if I was picking them, dude, I'd go with those.
Luigi's Mansion 3, I really want to play.
Do it then.
So right now,
getting coloured in yellow. We're getting serious now.
I'm highlighting some shit here on our agenda. So I've got Red Dead Redemption 2, Titanfall 2 campaign, Luigi's Mansion 3, God of War, and Death Stranding. There's 5.
Whew. That's doable.
Think so? I saw Red Dead 2 is what, 40 hours?
Red Dead 2 is massive. Yeah.
50, 60 hours. God of War, how long is that one? Is that in that same ballpark?
40.
I don't think it's that much, is it?
20, 30?
I'd say around
15, 20?
20. Around 20 hours,
right.
I would say.
We'll agree to disagree.
Obviously, it's if you do all the side stuff and all the unlocks, and that's probably longer. But so somewhere between 20 and 25, I guess.
Yeah.
Then Death Stranding, I have no idea how long that one is.
The rest of your life.
The rest of my life. All right, let's. I've highlighted a few there. I
Okay.
will like. There's a few I really wanted to get to that I didn't highlight, but let's just kind of stew on that for now and get onto one of your lists, I guess.
Okay. I mean, you can still highlight them, and I would say for the community to let us know. But if they want to see us play one of these games and give a fair appraisal of it, then by all means, let us know, and we'll try and do it. For me, the ones I should go back and revisit and finish, I'll reel them off. Dark Souls 3, which I have got on the PS4 and the PC. This is one of them that you buy the double dip and then you never actually finish it on either. So I need to try and get to the end of it. I've completely lost my PC save, so I would need to start that again, but I think I've still got my PS4 save. Bloodborne, same thing. Got reasonably well through, but miles away from the end, I think. I've put Breath of the Wild on here because I know I'll give it some 7 out of 10, which I still think is fair.
It's a very good score.
It's trolling.
That's a very good score.
It's still a good score. But I am, it's one of them. If my co-hosts want me to go through and finish that game, then I absolutely will. Because I don't think it's that long. To be fair, if you don't collect everything or whatever else,
I don't want to hear you. I don't want to hear you. I don't want to hear you bitch about that game anymore. So I am not going to. It would be me, right? Who would like try and coerce you to play that one, and I'm. If you don't like it, you don't like it. That there's no like 30 more hours in that world that's going to make you all of a sudden switch over to liking it. You know what I mean? I love it. I think it's a great game, but it's not for you.
A 7 out of 10 is,
it's a 10 out of 10.
It's a good game. It's a great game.
10 out of 10.
It's a 10 out of 10.
Out of all the games you've ever played, and keeping in mind the games that you're about to play, that's still a 10 out of 10.
Breath of the Wild is a 10 out of 10.
Damn.
No question.
It's got seal of authority on there.
There you go.
Yeah, I want to play it again. I wanted to put it on my list and say, play it again and put the DLC on there. I mean, I almost put it on my backlog after spending 60 hours in that world already,
That's so awesome.
Love it.
All right, Carl, sorry. Sabotaged your plans there.
So I've got Ni no Kuni 2, which I started and finished, Yakuza 0, Forza Horizon 4 on the Xbox, the PC, Thronebreaker, The Witcher Tales, which, again, probably 10 hours into it, Xenoblade Chronicles Torna, which I really need to get back to, The Witcher and The Witcher 2. Now, The Witcher, the enhanced edition of The Witcher, I never really played through more than like 2 hours. Same for The Witcher 2, Assassin of the Kings. Then, in terms of games I haven't really played at all, Skyrim, never played it. And apart from like installing it on my PC when I had Beanhead's Steam account just to take a look at what the graphics card settings. The Dragon's Dogma, another RPG which I picked up. Shadow of the Tomb Raider as well, Joel. The Witcher adventure game, which is like a board game that I picked up on Steam. Assassin's Creed Odyssey, which I am also desperate to play. Star Wars, Knights of the Old Republic, and Knights of the Old Republic 2, which I haven't played. Slay the Spire, Donut County, which I picked up on.
You got to play Donut County, buddy.
PS4 a little while ago.
That's a fantastic little quick platinum. Such a good game. Joel, you rocked that one as well, I recall.
Yeah, I played through that. It is a good game.
Yeah.
Then I've got Detroit as well. That was free on Plus, and it was installed, never touched it. Persona 4, Golden on the Vita. And I am aware some of these are hundreds of hours. Divinity Original Sin on PC as well. That's probably the bringing up the rear in there. But again, picked them up and just never got round to them. So it's a tough one for me. There's a lot on there. There's a couple on there I don't really feel like I want to desperately get back to, but I should finish them because they are really good games and I do enjoy them when I get into them. But I don't know. Anything jump out at you, chaps?
Well, I mean, like you said, you can't take on these 100-hour games. You can't. If you're going to pick 5, I'd only pick like one of those. That's what comes to mind for me. Donut County it's quick and easy, and it's just a quirky, cute little game. So that's probably you could beat that in a weekend, really.
Good. Okay.
I don't know. Shadow of the Tomb Raider, which I almost want to go back and highlight on my list and ditch something else to make that one of my 4 or 5.
You can do that.
Because it'd be kind of fun to play through it together or around the same time, I guess.
Yeah, I'm down.
What's a priority for you, Carl? I mean, you're asking us to pick your games. What do you want as your top 5 or whatever?
I think Dark Souls 3. I think I need to finish it. It's going to make me pull my hair out, but I do think I should do that. Where are we? I think the Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic games as well. I think I'll bundle those into 1 and 2 together. But then Skyrim. See, I've never gone through Skyrim, and a lot of people will be really surprised by that because it was, PS3.
I'm not too surprised, to be honest.
PS4, but it's such a huge time sink. Yeah.
Jinx.
Yes, Knights of the Old Republic, with you being a big Star Wars guy and having never played them and being an RPG guy, those might be one you want to do. You're going back a couple generations on that one. Where are you going to play that?
Gotcha.
PC? PC
I've got them on Steam.
Okay.
And I think I've got them on disc. From when it actually came out, I haven't got a disc drive on a PC, but so I'll probably do both of those. I really want to do Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I wanted to do that for ages, but I think for now I'll go Donut County, Star Wars games, Dark Souls 3, Shadow of the Tomb Raider. I will finish Xenoblade Chronicles Torn. Actually, I'll do that. I might do a couple more. Do you know what? I'll go.
Yeah,
that'll do. That's 6. But I'll count Knights of the Old Republic ones as the same. I'll have a little ponder. I might do another 1 or 2 as well.
I've got 6 on my list here now as well because I went back and highlighted Shadow of the Tomb Raider.
Cool.
And these consoles aren't coming out until what? A year from now?
We got about a year, yeah.
So I mean that's doable, especially with Titanfall 2 campaign being shorter. Luigi's Mansion 3 is probably only 20 hours maybe. So I think I got my 6. We'll revisit them here shortly. Shane, you doing 6?
Yeah, we're gonna bring her home.
Okay.
This will be fun. The stuff I got to finish. Red Dead 2, obviously, which, yeah. I think a few months ago I said that I'd do like a mission a day. You stick to doing one mission, just come home, bang through one mission every day, be able to finish the game in a couple of years or something. So that one definitely. Borderlands 1, the Game of the Year edition that they've released on PS4 this past year. I do want to get through and finish that. The only problem is, and I was going to cross this one off because after playing Borderlands 3, I'm going to need a healthy break of Borderlands before going back. And it's like trying to play through, the 4 Uncharted games one after another. You need a little bit of a break. There's a lot of content in them. So I don't think I would get back to playing that probably for some time, to be honest. But games that I have bought and are sitting on the shelf that I have been wanting to for some time. First off is the Assassin's Creed Unity. French Revolution, Joan of Arc period. Love that stuff. Definitely one that I want to play through and enjoy. Uncharted 2. Never played. I've only ever played the first one. I know it's one of the greatest games ever made, so that's definitely one.
That's a 10 out of 10. For real. That game's fantastic.
Yeah, I've heard it's like a 9.5 out of 10. So, Uncharted 2. Really want to play that one. Really want to get through that. Resident Evil 2, which like Joel said, was fantastic. Heard nothing but great things about it, and love Resident Evil 4. So,
did you ever play the
Drive Club?
Did you ever
I've heard is a phenomenal driving game? It's something that I really enjoy. No,
yeah, get Drive Club out of there. Did you ever play through the original Resident Evil 2, Shane, on PS1 or 64?
No, sir. I played the original Resident Evil, the first one, and then I didn't touch another one until 4 because I had a buddy that he's like, this is one of the greatest games ever made. You have to play this. And I got it on the PS2, a Black Label copy on PS2 that I played, which was phenomenal. But yeah, no, did not play the original.
And what the hell's Drive Club doing on this list?
Oh, I thought I've heard it's a great game.
Looks like Carl's added to your list.
And apparently I need to play through The Witcher 3 now.
Yes, you do.
No, I do not own The Witcher 3, so
I'll buy you, dude.
It's okay. We've had a few over the years, and I appreciate that. Thank you. But yeah, Assassin's Creed.
If it was me, I'd have you both play through The Witcher 3 because it is the best game of this console generation in my humble opinion. I think it's a wonderful, wonderful game. But again, it's massive though. That's the only problem.
Yeah. What's it, like 100 hours?
Sure.
I'm not sure I've ever played any game in my life. Pixel Junk Monsters, maybe. But 100 hours, I've never, ever. I don't have the patience, I don't think, to stick with the same game for that long.
Yeah.
I'd like to. I mean, you love the hell out of it, so I'd love to play it, but...
Actually, one thing I need to put on here is the Witcher 3 DLC because I still haven't played that. So I'll definitely get through that. I think it is DLC, but I think it's a good 30 hours. I think it's a separate story in it. So
what do you got, Shane? You're not doing,
I'd say
you're not
for me,
doing Borderlands?
Red Dead 2, finish that one 100%. I need to finish that because it's taking up way too much room on my hard drive, and I want it off of there. It's like 100 gigs. That's insane. Assassin's Creed Unity, definitely. And then obviously the Uncharted 2 and Resident Evil 2, I think will be mine to hammer through. It's going to take me some time, but those are them for me, boys.
Kind of want to do that Resident Evil 2 as well.
Yeah.
God of War, I'm on the fence with God of War. Can I kill the God of War and then add Resident Evil 2 Remake instead?
Yeah, sure.
I've got the PS4 on my other television. It's basically the Don't Starve box at the moment for my wife.
Yes.
So there's that also. So I'm down to Resident Evil 2 Remake, which maybe Shane and I can coordinate playing that around the same time, Shane, if that's cool.
Yeah, I was going to say we should probably sync that up and be able to go through it together almost, even though, I mean, it's not like it's like co-op or anything, but we're around the same time and share our experiences here on a Band of Gamers podcast.
Red Dead Redemption 2, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, Titanfall 2, Luigi's Mansion 3, and Death Stranding. So I'm still at 6. Sound like a good list, guys?
Oh, those are healthy lists. Healthy.
I think so.
To be able to get through a game before buying another game, those are healthy lists, boys.
Yeah, they are pretty hefty. Dark Souls 3 for Carl, Xenoblade Chronicles, Torna, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 1 and 2, Donut County, and the DLC for The Witcher 3, Hearts of Stone and Blood and Wine. Shane's got Red Dead 2, Assassin's Creed Unity, Uncharted 2, Resident Evil 2 Remake.
Yes.
All right, guys, let's do it. And Star Wars for me before I even start my list. Crap. That one will probably take me a month. My gaming habits at the moment.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
That's good. It's good group of games there. Well, lots to talk about, lots to get through, boys.
Let's let the community chime in too. I know Carl mentioned that there a little bit ago. I'm playing Star Wars. We're going to be working on our favorites of the year for the next episode. Why don't we decide, like, put it in stone, I guess, next episode, the lists, and let the community kind of chime in. If you want us to reorder or change anything, please let us know. Do so on Twitter or Facebook or whatever. Send us an email. However you want to do that. And then we can, I guess, finalize it. If a bunch of people come screaming at me like God of War's got to be on that list, well, maybe it does, and maybe I need to change things around a little bit. You guys cool with that?
But these are all games that we already own. They're sitting on our shelves right now that we've been neglecting, correct?
Yes, it's got to be.
Okay.
It's got to be what we just talked about. You can't
There we
get.
go.
Yeah. It's not all those games though. There's an awful lot more.
Oh, tell me, man.
Yeah. So shout out a game, and if I have got it, then why not?
Game Tengoku Cruise and Mix Special, boys.
Huh?
Completed it, mate.
Yeah. Good talk, guys. Good stuff.
Yeah. Nice chat. Group hug. And time for some beers.
Yeah.
Shane's pouring his. I'm going to open mine. Right in the mic for effect.
Brilliant.
Yeah, Shane, you want to start us off this episode? What do you got, my friend? What are you drinking?
You know, yeah, okay. I can yammer for a couple of seconds here while this one settles a little bit. Got a little ahead of myself pouring this butte. But going with another Parallel 49, which I mean, they do some decent beers down there.
They do.
Yeah, they got this new. They've been doing this what they call pick a hop pack. They've been doing this for years. They did like a 4-pack, and then they did like an 8-pack, and they would just have a few of their more hoppier beers. Filthy Dirty, Trash Panda in there, Gypsy Tears, and they would rotate a couple out here and there. But now they're going kind of a different route. They have 4 different beers specifically for this new box, this new 8-pack box. You get 2 of each. One of them is a Citra Hop. It's a hazy IPA. There's the Azaka New England IPA. And then they do a Mosaic Mango IPA with the Mosaic hops. And this one I'm rocking today is the Amarillo Hop Northwest IPA. It's that time of year, isn't it, boys? For a stout, for something that's a little bit more earthy. And I think the Northwest IPA is very good, more earthy toned, piney, it's got a bit of dirt to it, and I love a good Northwest. So rocking the Amarillo, very nice kind of, golden bit of malt in there. Parallel, they love using their malts in their beers. And it's a solid, it weighs in at 7%. So it's a nice size welterweight. And yeah, it's delicious. Very, very good. Really clean, crisp, not overbearing on the malt or anything. Just a solid, be a good go-to Northwest IPA. Craving one of those, I'd pour you one of these first.
And
then we go from there. Yeah, one of those.
For real good audio effect here for our listeners, hold your glass up. Look at the color in yours compared to the color in mine. What do you think, Carl? Look pretty similar, hey?
Yeah, not far away, are they?
No.
I'd say we'd be.
Oh, wow.
I don't think mine's too far away either.
Glostros. Amperos.
I think we might have nailed it with this one. What are you drinking, Carl?
Oh man, it looks like the same as Shane's. I'm drinking a Radical Road from Stewart's Brewery up in Edinburgh.
Ooh.
It's a 6.4%. So yeah, nice little session beer. It's a triple hopped pale ale, and it's full of. I'm a fan of the grapefruit, as Joel can testify with the old Elvis juice.
Really?
This is very much like it's got the grapefruit, but it's much more subdued. There's a lot of pine in there, which hits you on the nose, but it's got a real marmalade taste to it. It's very delicious and a little bit sweet. So it's a great little brew. You can find them in the supermarket. Get this from Sainsbury's. About £1.50 a little can, I think, something like that. But yeah, a nice little beer, and it's one of my faves. I do pick them up. It's very light tasting. Like Elvis juice can be a bit heavy, and as much as I think it's delicious, a couple of these is kind of like just a lighter alternative. It's definitely got that lovely kind of jammy marmalade-y kind of texture to it and taste. It's a real good one.
Nice. I have got this a brand new brewery just opened a couple weeks ago. It's in Mequon, Wisconsin, right near where I used to work, which kind of disappointed me. I was switching jobs, and then all of a sudden, this great new brewery is going in right down the street from where I work. I timed this kind of poorly, and I had this beer there was a tasting event at the Milwaukee County Zoo a couple weeks ago that we had tickets for. And you walk around the zoo and try all these different beers, and this was there. Foxtown Brewing, it's called. Had some, tasted some, and kind of stood there for like a half an hour and just kept drinking that for a while because it was so good. And the guy was telling me how it's opening in November, and so it wasn't even opened yet, and I was tasting it. I put the date on the calendar when they're going to open, knew I would get back because I really like their beer. Had dinner with my parents last night, and the 4 of us, on the way back, we drove past it. I'm like, hey, we gotta stop. We gotta stop. And they were open to it.
Oh yeah.
So we stopped. Ran into my buddy Bill, guy
Nice.
Used to hang around a little bit. One of Mike's good buddies.
Yeah.
I haven't seen him in quite a few years, but he's the general manager at this place. So I kind of ran into him. Kind of funny. He asked if I have shares in 1840. He's like, what are you, an investor or something? As much as I keep hearing about how much you're like, no, I just spend way too much money with them. But it's a West Coast ale also. Went with the West Coast IPA style. It's called Stanford's IPA.
Ooh.
Named after the university there in San Francisco area, California. And I'm learning something. I don't know if this is true. I probably should have looked it up, but it's written on the can, so it must be true.
Yeah.
It says, some things are inspired by the West Coast, like Leland Stanford, a young lawyer in what is now Port Washington, which is Milwaukee area. After his office burned down in 1852, he pulled up stakes and headed west to California. Worked out well. He eventually founded Stanford University. So it's a California-style West Coast IPA, also kind of piney. A little bit of malt in there, as you can tell by the color, which is the same color as Shane and Carl's, and you can't see the color because you're listening. Why am I talking about the color? It's delicious. Very good. Cheers, guys. Sort of like we all have the same color beer.
Yeah.
It just worked out.
And I think these were last minute picks for us. Usually, at least for me, it's always last minute. What do I feel like on the show? And we all we're in sync on this one.
Yeah, great minds think alike, or drink alike, as was one of our show titles.
Cheers. Really?
Yeah, cheers. Usually, I just go to the fridge and grab whatever 1840 is in there, and it's since I have so many and they keep coming out more, it's always something I haven't talked about before. But last night, after having a couple at this place, I grabbed a 4-pack out of their cooler. So definitely it was inspired by ABOG today for sure. Like I got to get some of this and talk about Foxtown Brewing. So if you're in the Milwaukee area, get over to Mequon. Check these guys out. It's a very old building. 1857 is the original date of the building. It's brand new. They just opened in 19, obviously. But it used to be a brewery way back. And they discovered it has lagering caves.
Ooh.
Like after they were there, they're like, whoa, wait a second. They had some lagering caves in this building. So really a lot of rich history of beer there. Pretty cool stuff. And it's good. They're doing it right.
Definitely.
Well, what do you say we get over to side B?
Welcome to side B, music. The recommended album this episode is from me. Yeah, I actually am recommending one this year. Just in time. Last proper episode before we do get into the footies. Should probably throw my hat in there. This is from a Canadian band called Pup. They're out of Toronto, Ontario, and this is their 2019 release. Came out back on April 5th, titled Morbid Stuff. It's on Rise Records. We got 11 songs, 37 minutes. It's like a double album, boys. For a lot of stuff I listen to, it's just about a double album, but no. Yeah. Nice little 4-piece. They formed back in 2010, so going on almost 10 years now. Their debut, self-titled, came out back in 2013. This is their third album. They've been nominated. They've won numerous Canadian awards. And they've previously had some songs featured in some video games like Watch Dogs 2 and NHL 15. We pass it over to our community to see what they think on a few different platforms here. And overall, it looks like they've come out with about a 4 out of 5, maybe even like a 3.9, 4.1 right in the pocket there. So before we hear what Joel and Carl think about this album, let's go through our Discord and see what our folks there said. Start with K-Fod, who said, there's so much potential here. I feel like individually, these guys are really good musicians. Together, meh. I can't put my finger on it exactly, but they just don't mesh well. It gives it a 3 out of 5, though. Our friend Tim Pollen says, it's a bit angry and shouty, but I like it. 4 out of 5. I'll See You at Your Funeral has been stuck in my head all day. It's a banger tune on this record. Really, really great stuff. Over to our writer, Brad32. I've only had a chance to listen to it once. First impression, they're competent, but there just seems to be something lacking. I won't give up on it, as further listens might reveal more. I feel like KFOD kind of nailed it. 3 out of 5 based on one listen. Brad, definitely got to give it a few more listens, bud.
For sure.
Oh, yeah.
In our Facebook group, Chris Volek says, 4 out of 5 stars, but 5 on some days. Melodic yet crunchy pop styled punk bangers that leave a lot to come back to over and over again. Lyrics have a decidedly angst-ridden flavor with the frustrations of life expressed on every track. Definitely reminds me of many 90s rock groups, but I don't want to pigeonhole it because overall it's a decently modern record. It reminds me of something I would have found while listening to CBC3 and perhaps even did, and it slipped my mind. Then we got a few of our friends over on Instagram. Tivlery says, really solid album, aggressive without bludgeoning you over the head, angry without forgetting melody. Kids, one of the songs, has a hold steady feel to it, and he gives it an 8 out of 10, 4 out of 5. There we go.
There you go.
Our friend Errol333 says, best album this year, and he's stoked. I got to work with him on a project coming out later this year. Wow. Very, very cool. Definitely looking forward to that. And then our friend PH Wildman124, Patrick says, great record. Super solid. It's catchy, vibey, raw, funny. Everything you want in a pop punk record. Some of the guitars are a little chorus heavy and a little overproduced for me, but it's not too distracting. His favorite track is See You at Your Funeral. So, community has spoken. I really enjoy this record. It's one I've kind of gone off and on about all throughout the year. But it's very good. I like it. It's raw. A lot of great little guitar hooks in it. A lot of great little leads. It's definitely a guitar record. And with bands like the Dirty Nail and, the Flatliners and Pup, showing that guitar rock is alive and well in Canada. A lot of these guys coming out of the Ontario, the Toronto area, and they're putting out some banging records over the past few years, and glad to see it continuing with such a great record like this. But Joel, Carl, it's been a little bit short. You've had a week, but I think that's still enough time for a record like this. So looking forward. I want to hear what you guys have to think. What do you think of Pup's Morbid Stuff?
Carl, you want to go first? Do you want me to go first?
I can go first.
All right, cool.
Yeah, it's a good little mix of community reviews there. I would definitely come out on the 4 out of 5. Maybe in the 4.5 out of 5. I really enjoyed it. I love that it's silly. I like the kind of the sarcasm and the craziness in the lyrics. Like, See Your Funeral has kind of come out on top, I think, from what people are saying is the best song on there. It's a cracking tune. And again, that kind of just the juvenile, like just the throwaway kind of lyrics in there. Like, it just gets me. Like, I enjoy that. Like, I'm after deep and meaningful. Like, and this album it's fun. It pops it in your face. My favorite tune on the record is probably Full Blown Meltdown because it's heavy. the bass is just just brilliant. Like it just jumps straight out of the end. Dude's got his snare just going. And I'm just like, yeah, man. And I was thoroughly enjoying the album until that point as well. But then when it gets to that, I'm like, oh yeah, these guys could. And it seems like they're losing control. And I get what I think someone said that they were kind of not meshing together, like not cohesive. And I could see somebody who's listening to Full Blown Meltdown for the first time, they might think something like that. But I guess it all depends on how you like your music. To me, it's kind of it's well organized, but meant to be a little bit dysfunctional, and that's one of the reasons why I really really enjoy this record. On See You at Your Funeral, I listened to that song over and over because it jumped out and it was really good. but they really go a bit Supergrass in the chorus. I don't know if you chaps think the same, but when it goes, the chorus hit kicks in, and his vocal just goes up there, and he's like, "You wanna know?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, it's a bit of Gaz Coombs in this, man. I'm digging it." Yeah, it's like surprising, just like a couple of bits in that, and it really lifts that track. I think that makes that track a good 5 out of 5 as well, man. But there's a few of them on this record. I really enjoyed it. I know, we've only had a week to listen to it, but it's been an easy listen. It really has.
Yeah, it took me a few listens. I think that I might have a personal problem here. It takes me a while before I can get into a record. Seems to be a common thread, I guess, on a lot of the albums we talk about. First listen, I didn't like it. It sounded a lot the same to me. It's kind of like what Kafad said there, what Brad maybe said on after his first impression. But then the more I listened to it, the more it revealed itself to me. The more I started to appreciate and find little bits in there that I didn't hear the first time. Now I really like it. I also would give it up there like a 4.5, probably a 4. It's a good record. You know what I liked a lot is the guitars.
Yeah,
good guitar work. I'm a guitar player, so of course I kind of get into the guitar work. But I like that it's if you're going to categorize it, I guess it is a pop punk record, but it really has a lot of other sounds to it. I mean, you got a little metal in there. I hear some post punk in there. And especially in the guitars, he is, it's like a clean tone. And then you've got a really distorted, like heavier tone. You've got your chunky parts. There's even a couple solos in there, which you'd never hear in a pop punk record. So I kind of appreciate Shane, your comparison to Jeff Rosenstock at the beginning, I think is dead on. When we first introduced it at the beginning of the show, his voice does have a little bit of a Jeff Rosenstock quality to it. His range, where he's the register in which he's singing. The lyrics, though, more like introspective, what he's going through, his life, I guess. More thoughtful, emotional lyrics than I typically would expect from a pop punk record. Not the same sense of humor that Jeff Rosenstock has. Catchy tunes. Today I was at the gym. I listened to it all the way through. Still there. Started over. I'm like, yep, good. Let's hear it again. Play it again. I'm really starting to like this album. The more I hear it, the more I love it. So pretty good. Couple tunes for me. Closure. I like that tune quite a bit. Bloody Mary, Kate and Ashley.
Yes.
Good song. See You at Your Funeral, also on my list. But one I haven't heard yet from the listeners, Scorpion Hill. That's a cool tune. It's different from some of the tunes on the record. And there's a lyric that really stuck with me. And if the world's going to burn, everyone should have a turn to light it up. I love that lyric.
So good.
So good recommendation, Shane. It's good stuff. Everyone should check this out.
I like how Chris Volek on Facebook mentioned the angst involved, but it's not your typical like teenage angst. It's a bit more mature, a bit more grown up, but still that angst and it just made me thinking, like, you know what, this is a great record for those Monday drive home from works. When you have a shit Monday or whatnot, a shit day at work, you can put this on and it's all so relatable. So good. I love a lot of the lyrics. I mean, just on the opening track alone, just being bored as fuck, sitting around thinking about morbid stuff. I mean, just, yeah. That one got me hooked right away on this record. And Carl brought up the full-blown meltdown. And the more I listen to that, and the more I hear almost kind of influences from like Trout Mask Replica, where things are kind of all over and don't necessarily go together, but they purposely go together. And there's little bits of that on this record. It's little clever things. There's clever little guitar licks that they put in there that you're not noticing. There'll be, the lead guitar will just be kind of ringing in the background. You'll get the second guitar just doing like this little lick underneath that you don't notice it because you're more focusing on, the vocal melody or whatnot. But there's so many great little licks in there like that. And I figured you guys would definitely dig this one. And I'm glad after a week you guys do, because it's a great little record.
I have to mention also, it's got a little bit of a math rock feel to it at times. They're doing some goofy stuff in 4/4 time. We're kind of coming to and like hitting a little off the rhythm and stuff. I like that. Just some county bits to it.
It's just well thought out when you do something like just cut the beat. There's, just throw in like a half beat in there, whatnot, just get ahead of the beat once or twice to start off a riff. And yeah, good show.
Lots of screaming and then also lots of singing. He really kind of runs the gamut there with his vocals. Reminds me a little bit, and this is going to be an abstract for, I'm sure, everyone. But when Quicksand broke up, initially they got a different singer. They called the band Handsome. Kind of reminds me of Handsome a little bit. An album I love because in my my Thunderbird at the time, it got stuck in the CD player, and all I could listen to for about 2 years was that Handsome disc. That was it.
Oh, no.
A little bit of Handsome in here, though. It's a good album. So next episode is our 8th annual Favorites of the Year. 8th annual.
Wow.
So what do you say? We think it's fitting we skip the recommended album and just go through our albums of the year, right? Next episode?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. We'll have also our favorite games of the year. Something a little different this year. I'm going to do this. Since I didn't play a ton of games from 2019, but did catch up on some from 2018, going to include those in my favorites of the year. I played it this year and I didn't get to it last year. Still a favorite of mine this year. We'll do that for the albums. I'll keep though to stuff released in 2019 and also not have like a top 10 list. I don't think we're doing that this year, right? Just listing out a few of our favorites and not have it be like, this is my number 1, this is my number 2.
Yeah.
That's too difficult.
Just chat you through.
Yeah. Anything else, guys, before we shut her down for 2 weeks?
Yeah, basically.
Be with you.
What?
I
just said, may the force be with you.
Oh, thank you. And with Shane.
I thank you as well, I guess. Yeah.
Well, thanks for listening. We appreciate it. If you have any favorites of the year, if you got a game and an album you want to share, please do so. You can find the email at the bottom of our show notes, or you can look us up on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. And we'll be sure and include that in the episode. And also, reminder, any backlog games you want us to include in our list, or be one of our Shane's 4, Carl's and my 6, hit us up as well. All right, guys. Thanks a lot. See you later.
Bye.
Yay!
I probably should have put BioShock on that list.
You never played BioShock?
What?
No. Quick, go. We're out. Music's playing.
I didn't hit stop. Now that you brought that up, I'm gonna keep recording.
Actually, I've only played part of the first one.
Part of it.
Yeah.
I played part of the third one.
I
guess between us, we're kind of there.
I beat the first one.
Halfway through the trilogy.
Yeah.
The second one I didn't like at all. The first one though I thought was really good. Not sure. I'm not sure if it aged well. It'd be kind of weird to go back to it. Speaking of games I never beat, if we're talking like guilty pile of shame here. Portal 2. Never beat it.
All right, I'm out.
Wow. To be fair, Joe, I never finished that either.
Oh my god, those 2 games! I bought Portal 2 and literally played like 5 minutes of it, just like open it up, and I stopped playing it and immediately went on the hunt to find the orange box on PS4. And it is so much harder to find on PS4 than it is on 360. 360, you can find it anywhere, and I finally found it in like, I don't know, it's like fucking Zellers or some shit in the clearance bin for like $29.99, the orange box sealed. And grabbed that and did not stop playing until I finished both of them. It was just a marathon week. I love those games so much.
Anything else on your pile of shame? Something that you should have played and didn't? Regrets?
Oh, God. But probably most games. The reason I'm just going through my Steam library real quick now. There was something that I know people moaned at me in the past that I should have played and didn't play. Just off the top of my head, Fallout and Fallout 2. I've got those original games just dotted in there. Half-Life 2. Never played it. I've owned that for about, oh God, must be 10 years. I don't know.
Can't go back to that one now, though. That's,
Yeah.
I mean, that's.
I don't know. You could do.
It hasn't aged well.
Horizon Zero Dawn.
Oh yeah, never finished that either.
So close to the end, and I just went too crazy. went too crazy, couldn't put it down for 2 days, and I'm like, all right, I am good.
I'm right at the end of that as well, mate.
Same
right,
here.
Right at the end.
That makes 3 of us.
Oh man, we're so bad.
Didn't appear in any of our backlog lists. We all didn't feel like we needed to go and finish it.
Well, do you know what? I felt bad about because I've got the Frozen Wilds DLC as well. Like I've got the Game of the Year version or whatever. But I thought that's too close to the end. Like that's like Spider-Man with me. I'm on the final fights, but I'd feel guilty if I put that on there.
You haven't finished Spider-Man?
No, I'm on the final. You know the last fight. I've done the first bit of it, and then I'm on the last bit. So
why would you stop there?
Yeah,
I don't know. Other stuff come out. I don't know.
You got to platinum it.
Everyone
The platinum's super.
I know. I will platinum that. But again, I feel bad about putting that on the list because I'm right there.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, true.
It has a good ending though. It's worth beating that a little bit at the end there.
Yeah, I will do. I'll get around to finishing that off.
Nice.
All right, now we're done. Next episode, favorites of the year.
The Swapper. Great little indie game.
Thought we were done.
Never.
Yeah, I've still got that. Stardew Valley as well. I still haven't finished that. God, no.
Drive Club.
I'm closing down Steam.
What the hell's Drive Club doing on your list, Shane?
Yeah, he's going to be on your favorites of the year too, isn't it?
My favorite every year.
Oh, man.
No.
Yeah, plus Gears 2, 3, 4, and 5, but we won't go into that.
What?
Oh, and all the Halo games.
Now you're just trolling me.
Paper Mario.
I'm hitting stop now because you're just being mean.